looking at your child and you're trying to work out what features they get from you, and I'm like, actually, I don't know, because none of my features look like me. I was like, I need to change this. I'm like, does he have my lips? I'm not sure. I can't remember what they look like.
Let's get another picture up. Come on.
Finished breastfeeding, and I was like, I just need these fillers dissolving, and it's the best thing I ever did. It's not been easy, but we've just stuck together as a family. We're getting there, we're rebuilding. It's just sad that she's not here with us.
You moved back for a bit to be there for the little ones.
Because they were 2. Yeah. That's what hurts me the most when I speak about it, is because Lucky's 2 now. Losing a mum at that age is just so sad and traumatising for them, you know.
And with your siblings as well, it's that thing of not only have you got your own family now, but seeing that family growing and expanding.
Louie's got a little boy, I've got Lucky and Flossie, and Phoebe's has got Olive. It's just the best. It's like we're recreating, you know, what we grew up with all the kids, and it's so nice to be able to do it together.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Happy Mum, Happy Baby, the podcast. Today's guest is an author and an entrepreneur, which I find that word really difficult to say, but I think I did it really good there. She's also the mum of 2 teeny tiny children. It's Lottie Tomlinson. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
I mean, I'm just impressed that you're here. You've got 2 little ones, and Flossie is 3.5 months old.
Yeah, and do you know what? It feels like she's older. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know if it's because she's a second baby, it feels like she's always been with us.
Yeah.
And I think when you go from 1 to 2, because you're already a parent and you're already in that routine, don't you think they just slot in so much better? I guess I found that easier than 0 to 1. Yeah. Because your whole life's changing and
it's all new.
You're figuring it all out. Whereas with Flossie, it's just like she's slotted in and it's just normal.
Yeah, I love that. And also maybe you're not worrying quite so much.
Yeah, definitely. And I think they feed off that. So she's really calm compared to what Lucky was.
Yeah.
And I think that's because we're relaxed with her. And I think with the second, they don't get as much fuss because obviously, especially with the gap I've got, because Lucky's 2. So he obviously needs a lot of attention.
Yeah.
So, you know, when she needs a nap, she kind of just has to go down and that's it. I can't be rocking her for an hour and Lucky needs me. And so she's really calm and she's good at like settling herself and it
does make you look back and kind of go, how did I do that with the first?
Oh my God. I think back and I'm like, he used to make a sound and I used to be up and grabbing him. And like with Flossie, I'm like, I know she'll be fine. She's just, stirring. I never knew about that active sleep.
Yeah.
With Lucky, every single time he'd make a noise or, stir when he was having a nap, I used to grab him and probably wake him up. And then I've kind of learnt about that active sleep. And Flossie's always making these noises in her sleep. But I'm like, it's fine, she's just in active sleep and then she'll just be asleep again.
Oh, and also there's that whole thing of like sleep like a baby.
Yeah.
Babies are very loud sleepers.
Oh my God. In the night, it's like she's been quite a good sleeper from early on, which is a lot different as well for me. Lucky didn't sleep till he was like past 1. God. But even when she does sleep, well, it's like they're grunting. And I'm like, everyone's like, oh, just sleep when they sleep. And it's like, you actually can't.
It's like having a mini pig.
Yeah. We call her a little lamb. She makes like lamb noises. But it's cute.
Oh, I love that. And also at the moment, you are in promo for your book that's now out in paperback, Lucky Girl.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to dive into loads of topics from it anyway.
Yeah.
But how does it feel having this book out? Because you are, I know that you share a lot, but there are certain things that you haven't shared. And in the book, it's very much like it's a chance for you to get all of your thoughts about what's happened over the last few years and your life down in a book form, in words that are yours.
Yeah. I think with the book, it was really important for me to do because I wanted people to read my story from, my perspective. And I've spoke a lot about grief, but I don't think I've gone into detail about, the whole experience from start to finish.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I don't think I realised when I started it how difficult it would be. Because I feel like I've got to a good place with my grief and I think I'm quite strong with everything. But sitting down and having to really go into detail about all those moments, it definitely took a toll on me. But it's just so worth it because the amount of messages that I'm getting saying that, my book's helped people and, everyone is going through, hard times, not necessarily just grief, but the purpose of the book for me was to show people that they can go through dark times and even if you feel like, your life's on the floor or you're in a really bad place, you can get through it. And I just wanted my story to show that.
Yeah.
So to be able to be that example to people is, so worth the whole experience.
How did it feel actually getting the words down and then when publication day came around, knowing that people were going to be reading them?
Well, it was also the rereading it back for me.
Well, I've listened to the audiobook.
Yeah, and doing the audiobook because that was really important. I really wanted it to be my voice.
I think it's so important with non-fiction. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But then again, that was a whole other saga of it all where it's like, wow, I've got to sit through this, read it, try and keep, my composure.
Yeah.
And also then, like when people are reading it, it's scary because it's like a lot of, you're opening yourself up to judgment, aren't you? And I don't know, I feel like I was nervous for the reaction, but I was so grateful that it was a good reaction. And it was a really positive response.
See, I feel like with something that's long form like that, it's almost, personally, I feel like it takes the judgment out of it because you're not like on a sofa being asked about something and you've got a minute to say what you actually think, and then you're on to the next question. Or I think there's a thing where you're constantly driven for time, right?
Yeah.
Whereas with a book, you can express yourself fully in that and really get across what you mean.
Yeah.
And I think it's a beautiful, beautiful book. I really, really do.
Thank you.
And like you said just then, it's that thing of being in a place that so many people find themselves in, of not knowing how you're ever going to have joy in your life again. And then actually you have so much joy in your life.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, like that feeling that I had when I was going through them times and when I was at my lowest, it's such an overwhelming feeling, and that's what I thought I would never, I thought I'd never be happy again. I genuinely didn't. And then when I have found this happiness that I've got today, it was like in my head, it was like an alarm bell, and I was like, I really want to try and show people that this is possible. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's why it started me working with Sue Ryder, because I thought, let me try and help, work with a charity who are amazing for grief.
For them is incredible.
And I love working with them, and they're amazing, and the services they offer are amazing. And then obviously I wanted to tell my story a bit more, so that's where the book came in. And just the amount of messages and the response that I get from people saying that, it's helped them is just, obviously it means so much.
Are you surprised by how much you got from writing the book?
I think I am, because I feel like it was a freeing moment for me. Like I was able to let go of it all in a way. Obviously you never get over these things, but I think it's about learning to accept them. I think I've always said that. And as soon as I started to accept what had happened, I really managed to, find a lot of peace with the whole situation. Yeah. And I guess the book helped me do that even more. Yeah,
I think there is that thing of when you're in a role where you can help other people through things that you've gone through. It does ease things in some way.
It gives you a sense of purpose. Yeah, and it also gives that grief somewhere to go. I think, I think it started with my family. I had younger siblings, and I wanted to try and be there for them. That was me trying to channel that grief into something positive in a way. And the same with the book, if I can make light of something so dark, then that changes everything.
Yeah. The work you do with Sue Ryder is unbelievable.
I love Sue Ryder. And I've only ever worked with Sue Ryder, and I've been their ambassador for probably 4 years now. And I've done so many amazing campaigns with them, and we've got another amazing one coming up. I mean, I went to Parliament. Yeah. I couldn't believe it. I was heavily pregnant with Lucky, and I went into Parliament, and just the work they do, and it's so important because... with my grief, we never got offered any kind of support.
Really?
Yeah, and I think that's why it was so important for me to try and be able to direct some people.
Yeah.
To direct people in the right direction, to find some support. After my mum passed away, and especially because that was a medical death, there was never really a direction we were pointed in to say, if you need any counselling or anything like that. It was just just get on with it. And we were so young.
And that's got to be hard when you're one of the oldest of 7, that how you feel.
Yeah.
But knowing that the other siblings who, you've got your own life, you're down in London, you're doing all these things, whereas for them...
they're dealing with it all and they're so young. Yeah, and with Sue Ryder, we just try and fight for that, direct support, network that you can find. And you know, they offer counselling, they offer free sessions, and they stuff like grief cafes. I never knew anything about that. You know, that would have been so valuable for me, especially like moving to London and not having my family around me then. I think grief's just loneliness, isn't it? Because you feel so isolated in them feelings. So being able to go to something like a grief cafe and just relate to people, and it would have been so good for me. So hopefully I can show people that that's on offer.
Absolutely. Let's talk about family life, childhood family life.
Yes.
As I said, you're one of 7.
Yeah.
What is the age range? Like top to bottom, how many years between top and bottom?
So oldest, he is 32.
Yep.
And youngest is now 12.
Okay.
So it's a big gap.
Yeah.
My mum was really young when she had Louis, so
Right.
she was only 19.
Okay.
And then obviously, so by the time the youngest ones came along, she was only like 42.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a crazy age to have a child at all. But that's how it ended up spanning across so many years.
Yeah.
But I mean, growing up, it's just chaos, but in the best way.
Well, it's that thing, isn't it? So you would have had, and obviously because your mum was married to your dad and then
Remarried, yeah.
So you would have had your bubble and then that childhood and then that thing of going into almost a maternal mode with the next set.
Yeah, because I always remember there being new babies. You know, I don't remember my sister, so Fizz, she was 2 years below me.
Right.
So we were obviously close in age. But then I remember the twins, the big twins we
And there's
call them.
two
'cause
sets
there's
of twins.
Yeah, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
So I remember the big twins coming along and it being really exciting because there was one each for me and Fizz. We didn't have to, you know, like
Share
siblings
them.
would usually fight over the new baby. There was no fighting over the babies. We just got one each, and we both really took that like role on. We loved being big sisters. And then when the little twins came along, my mum had tried really hard for them. They were IVF babies. Because obviously she remarried and Dan was
And
younger.
she really spoke to you all. You knew what was going on.
We knew what was going on because we were kind of at that age. But she was doing the IVF and we knew how much that they wanted to have a baby together. But obviously then it ended up being twins. But my mum just loved it. She embraced it. She was happy.
But
you know.
that is, you know, from everything I've read about Giovanna, you know, children seemed to be her happy place. Family was a happy place. She was a midwife.
Yeah.
Like that caring
That
for
was
other
her
people.
passion, was children. And that's what I remember most about her. She, you know, would be on holiday and if there was a family and they needed help, she would be helping with their children.
She
couldn't get enough. And apparently she was like that from young as well.
Really?
My nan and granddad say that she'd just be off trying to care for the babies and stuff. So that was kind of her passion, and it was so nice to have that big family unit.
Yeah. Was anyone else in your friendship group? Did anyone else come from big families, or was your family just the big family?
The biggest, yeah.
Right.
I didn't really meet anyone with as big a family as mine, especially having 7 siblings. But I guess by the time the little twins came along, I was like 16 by then. So I was a bit older, and I was starting to go off, you know, on the tour and move to London and stuff. So, yeah. It's crazy.
It must have been such a weird time for your mum to kind of see, you know, the older ones going off on tour and then having these new ones at home. Yeah.
Do you know what? I just remember when they were born, and they were a bit early because they were twins and they were tiny. They used to share the Moses basket, and they were both, and we just treasured them so much because we knew the journey she'd been on to get them.
Yeah.
You know, and they were just so special for that reason.
Which is so rare, I think, for children to understand what their parents have gone through.
Yeah. I think because we was all a really close family, and we were all still living at home at that time, and we were seeing her go through that, and we'd seen her go through losses as well, because, you know, you can't hide when you're all in the house, and there'd been pregnancies that weren't successful, and so when she did get pregnant with the twins, and obviously it was still nerve-wracking until she got to a certain point, and once it did progress and the bump was there and it, you know, it was all going well, we were just so excited. So excited for them to be born.
I mean, and just that insight of birth, you know, whether you were there or not, or just, you know, just knowing all these things.
Well, I think that's what's given me, I've always been so fascinated by birth and having babies, and I think that's why with my pregnancies, I've not been nervous about the birth, because I've just been excited to actually experience that. You know, I think it obviously started with my mum.
Yeah.
And then I used to watch all the, you know, One Born Every Minute.
I was obsessed.
Back to back.
Yeah.
Every single episode. And I just love it. I felt like at ease with the fact that I kind of knew all the different, possibilities that can happen. And I just love, people think I'm weird, but I just love birth.
I feel like the very maternal side of your mum has definitely been passed on
100%.
to you.
And also with her being a midwife, I think that sparked a fascination for me as well. She used to take us onto the ward sometimes and let us see the babies. And I think it all just rolls into one, and we're all quite maternal in the family. Yeah.
Well, it's that thing of having such a big family as well, how that is the focus,
Especially being the second oldest as well, I've always had the younger babies.
Yeah. You've said of your mum that she was your pillar. That's such a beautiful thing to know that you had such a close connection.
Yeah.
And I think, I can't even imagine what it's like to lose someone so close to you at such a young age.
Yeah. I think when we found out Mum was ill, it was just too hard to even process or even imagine that she wouldn't make it.
Well, you were all told that it was going to be absolutely fine, that it was treatable.
Yeah. And I think looking back, she probably sugarcoated the situation because she wanted to protect us, which I understand. But then when it came down to it, the last few weeks, that's kind of the only time we kind of started to realise that this is, she wasn't going to be okay.
Yeah.
And so to lose her, that it felt sudden. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the build-up, we had so much hope, that she was going to be okay. And I think you've got to hold on to hope when someone's ill. And she was so strong. She didn't want anyone to know she was ill. She said she was going to fight it and it was going to be okay. And so we were just, that was our mum. We'd take her word for that. And she'd always been right about things. So, to lose her like that suddenly was just such a shock. And it's like the centre of everything, is gone. And I always have this kind of picture in my head. It's like then everything else falls apart. And I feel like we've just spent, the last few years since it all happened, just trying to rebuild that. And it's not been easy, but we've just stuck together as a family and we've tried to, look after each other. And I think we're getting there, we're rebuilding everything. And it's just sad that she's not here with us.
Yeah. Well, again, you took on the maternal role. I know your nan and granddad moved into the house.
Yeah.
But you moved back for a bit to be there for the little ones.
Because they were 2.
Yeah.
And that's what hurts me the most when I speak about it, is because Lucky's 2 now. I don't want to get upset, but it's all right, darling. But the thought of having to leave him now, it's, I just needed to be there for them, because losing a mum at that age is just so sad and traumatising for them, and I think Lucky is such a mummy's boy, and he's so attached to me. So just putting myself in that situation, which you naturally do, I just couldn't imagine for him if I wasn't there now. But hopefully me being there for them might have, closed that gap for them a little bit, and that's just what I wanted to do. And yeah, absolutely. Like we say, grief isn't something that's going to just disappear. No. And I think I feel stronger with it when I do get emotional, because it shows me that, I'm not bottling it up, and that's something I've always spoke about as well. I spent the first few years of my grief really hiding from my emotions, and because it's too painful. Well, also, being the oldest daughter, was there a feeling of having to hold it together? Yeah, I guess that was a part of it. You want to be strong, and I think naturally as a human being, when something's too painful, you push it away. Yeah. And it was so painful, and I'd find myself just, if it crept in, I would just want to avoid that altogether because it was so painful. And then it would get to a point where you can't, there's only so much you can push down. And I'd get to the point where every few months I was having these big meltdowns where I was just, inconsolable, and it was just horrible. So learning to kind of I can have this moment now, and then it means in 6 months' time I'm not having a huge meltdown and it being harder to cope with.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard, isn't it? Because it's that thing, and I imagine with younger kids, it's that thing of wanting to be strong, whatever that means, for them and allow them their grief, but also showing them that you're grieving and that that's okay. Like we sometimes have to model that behaviour to make it okay.
Yeah, and I think it's important to be honest with the kids, even though they're young. I found that, you know, trying to explain it in all these special ways to try and protect them and it not be as, you know, shocking and all that stuff, it only hinders them in the long run, because then they're trying to figure out years down the line, you know, what does death mean and why aren't they here and what happened to them. So I think we've always just tried to be quite matter of fact with the kids about it and just really talk about them all the time, so they're not feeling like it's this, you know, horrible, sad thing, which it is, but we don't want it to be in their life something that we only bring up every, you know, once a year and we all cry about it. We bring it up, you know, all the time. And even Doris, which is the one of the little twins. I know, me too. So Doris, when we have her, she every time she wants a little picture of Mum in front of her when we eat, and she does that off her own bag, and it's not a sad thing. She's just like, "Where's my picture of Mummy?" She wants that, and she wants to use Mum's old cutlery set that my nan still has, and it's nice, you know. It's a positive thing for them rather than. It is sad, of course, but for them they were 2, so they obviously don't remember much, but we just want them to know about her and know that, you know, that they were so loved, and we want them to feel her, you know, we were so lucky to have all the values we've got from her, so we want to give that to them.
Well, it's also a promise that you made your mum.
Yeah.
That, you know, they would absolutely
feel always
her presence
remember her, Yeah,
absolutely. When it comes to having your own family, coming from a big family, I feel like it makes people go one of two ways. Yeah. Either absolutely not or absolutely yes, I want that. Yeah. My version of that in my future.
I definitely want that.
Really? And,
I mean, after one, I think when they're babies and you're like, oh, I could do this again and again and again. And then they get a bit bigger and you're like, oh, I need to be careful here. I need to let them, you know, get to a decent age. So Lucky got to a good age, and I don't know about you, but I just got this urge. And I remember Lewis saying to me, why is now the right time? Like, why do you think now? Yeah. I was like, I can't explain it, but I need another baby.
But bedroom now.
And I cannot stop thinking about it. I need another baby right now. And I don't know how many times that will come back.
Yeah.
I'm worried. Because
so before even meeting Lewis, when you looked at your future, how many kids did you think you were going to have?
I always said 5, because my mum had 5, and obviously before the little twins, because, you know, she met someone else and wanted more children, then it ended up being twins. So having 7 probably wasn't always in her plan. Yeah. She probably wanted a big family, but yeah, that's a bit much. So I always kind of thought like 4 or 5 would be nice. And I'm still kind of, I mean, Lewis wants 3. So hopefully...
You sound quite disappointed in this
I'm hoping I can squeeze one more in.
Maybe the next one would be twins.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah. And get them both out the way at once.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. So when you met Lewis, did you two talk family straight away?
We always... I don't know,
is he from a big family?
So he has got 1 brother, but his brother's got 3 children. Okay. And they've got a lovely family. So we always kind of related on that, because I had my big family, and he obviously saw his brother, who he looks up to, with his children. And we had always spoke about that. But obviously early on in a relationship, you don't want to, you know, scare each other off. But I think as we progressed, we definitely both realised that we both wanted children. But yeah, like I say, he'd probably be happy to. Well, I say that, but he has already started saying, "Oh, we've got to have another one."
Really?
Because we love it so much, and this, you know, when you look at your children and you're like, how can I not? I just want to see what you would create another time. It's just amazing.
Also, I think there's that thing of once you've gone to 2, I think when you have the 1, you're like, how could I possibly love another child in the way that I love you? But then you have that other child and your heart expands somehow. Yeah. So knowing that makes you go, well, I can add to this because there's just more love.
Yeah, it makes you more confident that, you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had a plan. So you bought a house, you were renovating, and in your mind, let's finish this renovation, and then next year will be the time that we focus on babies.
Yeah. So that was the plan. Obviously, nothing ever goes to plan, does it? I bought this house and I was renovating it, and I remember when I was buying the house, I was looking for something that was all done to, my kind of taste. And I remember Lou, my friend Lou Teasdale, that I've been friends with for years, she said, why don't you buy a doer-upper? And I was like, I don't think I've got that in me. I don't think I can do it. And she was like, you can do it. And I was like, actually, maybe I can do it. And I feel like that represents our friendship, really. She's kind of been that person for me that tells me,
that nudge.
Give me that confidence that I can do it. So I found this property and it was perfect for a doer-upper. It was all flat roofed, and I was like, I could make this really like villa style and nice. So anyway, I bought the house and started doing it up and fell pregnant. But in my head, obviously naively, I've never done up a property or anything like that. I thought, I've got 9 months here that I will easily be able to turn this around and get in there, and it'll be perfect. We'll get in, have the baby, bring him home to the fresh house. We didn't move in until he was 1.
No.
Yeah. Took 2 years in the end. It's just never. It just always. It's always double,
like
isn't it?
renovation and building work and anything like that. It is that thing of you set out one plan. You just don't know what you're going to find. When you're doing it. But tell me about the moment that you did realise that you were pregnant with Lucky.
So Lucky was a shock.
Yes.
I mean, I say shock. I mean, I knew it was a possibility, but it was still a shock.
Yeah.
We were living our life single. Well, not single, but we was like,
footloose.
Yeah. Baby free, going out, drinking a lot, having fun. And then I was using the app.
Yes.
The
tracking.
Yeah. Because I've never really got on with the contraception. They all have a negative effect, don't they? A lot of them. And I thought, I'm just going to try the tracker app and should be fine. And I checked my app one morning and it said 5 days late, and I was like, oh, that's weird. So I did a test, obviously come up pregnant, and I was like, oh my God, I was crying. I was just so
how
shocked.
did you feel in that moment? What were the tears from?
It was shock and nerves and just that feeling of, am I ready for this? And then I was kind of nervous how he would react, and I ran in there straight away. I couldn't do the whole let's surprise him with the bottles. I was like, oh my God.
This is an Instagram moment.
No,
I just need to tell you.
There was none of that. There's no footage. I was just running, crying with this test, and he was like, what's wrong? And I was like, I don't know, that our whole life's going to change. Like, are you ready for this? And he's like, yeah, he had no doubt. And then it literally takes a few days, and your mind just starts to. I just started to plan my life around this baby now, and the baby's like the size of a grain of rice, but you just start bonding, don't you, straight away? And
also, I think it's only in moments like that, and that you kind of look back. I wonder if you look back at what your mum would have gone through with the younger set of twins.
Yeah.
To kind of, in your mind, you might have been thinking, well, I don't know what that's going to look like in terms of how easy it's going to be to get pregnant.
Yeah,
exactly. So kind of looking ahead to the future, kind of going, well. But next year we might be up against all these different things. But actually, now it's happened.
Yeah, it felt like it was meant to be, And once I got my head around it and had a few days to digest it, I was just so excited, because at the same time I'd been so, fascinated by pregnancy and birth, and I was like, I was pregnant myself, and I knew I'd always wanted to be a mum.
Yeah.
And I'd always been excited to go through the pregnancy, so I was just so excited after that.
How did you tell the rest of the family?
I think basically I found out I was pregnant 3 weeks before Christmas.
No.
So I was like, it felt too early to go up, because we go up for Christmas. I was like, it felt too early to tell everyone. But I remember going up north for Christmas, and my sisters, Phoebe and Daisy, the older twins, we were all, together, and I was like, I just can't contain it. I was like, and they were like, you pregnant, aren't you? They were crying, they were so happy. They'd been wanting me to have a baby. I feel like everyone was kind of looking towards me it was the first kind of bit of positive news we'd had, since the losses.
Because actually, what we haven't said is that you also then lost your sister only a few years after your mum.
Yeah.
So there's so much sadness and grief.
Yeah.
And to have a baby coming into the mix of that.
When you've gone through loss, I think new life then becomes even more special, because it's like, you're so aware of how quickly things can change, and it just felt so special to be, bringing new life into the family and having good news for once. And So I told them then, but I was like, I don't want to tell anyone. I'm literally like a few weeks along. I hadn't had a scan or anything.
At least with them as well. They can talk to each other about it.
Yeah, they didn't have to like tell one person just so that someone else knows.
Just keep telling each other.
Yeah,
every now and then.
yeah. You two chat about it, but no one else. And then I waited till I was like 10, 11 weeks and I was a bit further along. And then I just told them all individually. And it was, do you know what? Back then it wasn't such a big thing to do the Instagram. Like now, everyone, you know, is filming and doing these cute reels, which is so nice. But I didn't do any of that with Lucky.
Yeah.
I remember looking back thinking, oh, I wish I'd filmed it all. But I think I was still quite in shock with the whole thing. And it was quite hard for me to even digest it. So I wasn't in mindset of filming it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But yeah, everyone was so excited.
How did the rest of that pregnancy feel?
I loved the pregnancy in a lot of ways, but I found it difficult because my body changed a lot, and I'd always...
And you've had a difficult relationship with your body.
Yeah, definitely. I think doing Instagram stuff from early definitely had an effect on me in terms of my body image and just image in general.
Well, you say in the book as well.
I talk about it a lot in the book.
Fillers, whatever beauty treatment was out there, you were trying it.
Yeah, and I think that stems from, you know, being on Instagram from an early age, and especially the nature of, you know, Instagram is to get, you know, put that content up looking good. And then I started comparing myself to all the other, you know, influencers out there, and I was so young as well. I was at that age where you're so impressionable and you're just figuring things out. And so I'd already had a bit of a difficult relationship with, you know, body image and stuff. And I'd lost quite a lot of weight early on, so I kind of carried a bit of extra weight as a younger girl, and then started to have to picture myself. So I wanted to make some changes, and I did, and I was happier. So then I'd kind of worked hard for that.
Did you feel after everything that you felt happier? Or was it until that new thing came along and you were like, actually, I'll try that now?
I felt like it was making me happy. You know, losing the weight and feeling slimmer definitely made me feel better in myself. But in terms of the fillers and the beauty treatments, it was just a never-ending thing of trying to catch up with yourself. And like, I think as well, when you lose someone as close as like your mum, it affects your confidence a lot, and that's something I never expected. Because if you think about it, your mum is the one person that cheers you on, that loves you unconditionally, that's there to give you that, you know, reassurance and support. So when you lose that, you kind of lose that, you know, confidence in yourself. So I think I was constantly trying to find that confidence, thinking I would find it in these, you know, fillers and how I looked. But I think what's genuinely given me my confidence is having my kids, because you just realise that it's not important. Yeah. You know, I still like to look nice. I still like to get my hair done.
Beautiful woman.
But it's not as important to me as it once was. And I'm so comfortable now to just be in no makeup, have my hair up. Like,
well, and pregnancy was one of those big things, right? Because you couldn't have treatments or certain treatments whilst pregnant.
That's the thing. I think that's why I struggled at first, because obviously you can't have half the stuff done that you get done. And there was a lot of I was gaining a lot of weight, because I think my figure naturally is bigger. And also because I'd spent years probably restricting myself to try and get that figure. When I did fall pregnant, I was like, this is my time to shine. Like, I'm going to do whatever I want. And obviously I took it to the extreme. And look, I don't regret it at all.
No.
You know, I think your body obviously tells you what you need. And I had a healthy baby because of it, and I wouldn't change it. But then when I did have him, I was left, you know, 4 stone.
Was that also a shock? I think when you put on that weight and you're pregnant, I don't feel like you feel like, well,
you don't
women
feel
will,
it
but
as
it's
much,
very.
do you?
But as soon as the baby's out and also you're a bit swollen after giving birth, so you know you aren't going to look like you are in a week. Yeah. But there is that shock of, oh,
it's still there.
And it's everywhere. It's not just the bump is still there, but everywhere is
I was
still
the
swollen.
same. And I actually didn't mind myself when I was pregnant, because I really loved my bump. And like, it all looks proportionate, doesn't it, when you're pregnant? Yeah. And then when I had him, I was thinking, oh, my clothes, I don't know what to wear. You know, nothing fits, and I don't feel myself, and my face, and it was all swollen more because I had all the filler. Yeah. And that's why I wanted to remove it once I did have him. Yeah, because I just, towards the end of the pregnancy, with the weight gain and with the swelling from just pregnancy, my face, my lips, everything had just blown up. And I was like, I can't look like this. What have I done? And obviously it gives you a lot of time to reflect, doesn't it? Yeah. And I just thought, And obviously, when you have a baby, your priorities change, don't they?
And
So
also,
much.
you see the beauty in life and in humans.
Oh my God, you do.
And all those things that you want to pass on. You want
Yeah.
them to know that they are beautiful as they are.
Yeah,
you know.
and there's even a sense of like you're looking at your child and you're trying to work out what features they get from you, and I'm like, actually, I don't know, because none of my features look like me. I was like, I need to change this. I'm like, does he have my lips? I'm not sure. I can't remember what they look like.
Let's get another picture up. Come on.
And so I was like, look, I had to wait till I stopped breastfeeding. So I finished breastfeeding and I was like, I just need these fillers dissolving, and it's the best thing I ever did.
Really?
I feel like that, having the kids and doing that really helped me find my true confidence. So I think you trick yourself, don't you? Like, I was getting all these fillers, these treatments, and I was thinking, I feel good about myself now. But it's all hiding. You know, I had the big, huge lashes hiding my eyes. I had my brows on and, you know, the big lips, the big cheeks, and it wasn't me, you know, at all. And I think because I had it all so young, my face hadn't even like developed really. Like, it hadn't even settled into what it was going to be as an adult. So when I actually dissolved it, I was like, actually, I don't really need all this. Like, I just want to embrace myself.
Yeah.
And
you've got beautiful lips.
Yeah, they're fine. I don't even know. Honestly, I think one of my first jobs was a lip and a nail, like a lipstick and a nail varnish set. And that, I remember that being the first thing. Like, I was applying these lips and I was thinking, this would look better if I had a bit more plumpness, you know.
Really?
Yeah. And I was
Your
only
lips
16.
are so plump.
Also,
you're a makeup, like, you know how to put things on that give you that extra bit of a...
It was just that era as well.
Yeah.
Everyone was doing it, and it was so accessible. Like, I remember the place where I used to get like my lashes done. They were like, oh, there's an aesthetic nurse that comes in this day a week if you want, you know. And it was easy.
Yeah.
Didn't have to show my age or anything.
It is also
Scary.
that it is really scary, and it's also that thing of what's the trend at the time. Like, you know, when I was in my late teens, early 20s, it was all about tanning.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't question anyone when they were going, I'm going on the sunbed for 5 minutes.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think it kind of happened at a perfect time. So I had lucky, and I wanted to get rid of it all, but also the trends were moving into a much more natural era.
Yeah.
So it all worked.
Yeah.
But it's the best thing I ever did. I look back and I just can't believe what I used to do to myself.
Really?
Yeah. Awful. Too much.
How did you feel heading towards the birth?
I was just excited. Like I've said, I was excited to give birth.
Yeah, because I guess it's not something that's like this mythical thing.
No.
Like, in some, your mum's, talked about it.
It felt really natural to me, and I was also just so ready to meet him. I'm very impatient as a person. Like, I wasn't one of them that was just like, oh yeah, you'll come when he's come. I was thinking, I need this baby out. I actually ended up being induced in the end for reduced movements because I think I was just getting beside myself with everything, and I was
quite early, at 37 weeks.
37 plus 4, yeah. So it was fairly early. But I was just so excited to get him out. I was done. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
But you felt really positive about going into hospital, and So once, I guess you knew when you were going in that you were going to be staying in for a while as well.
Yeah. So I'd heard obviously a few negative stories about induction. It doesn't always go to plan. So I'd kind of read up on how best to get the induction moving. And the general thing was to just keep yourself moving. So stay active. And I took that very seriously. So I got in there and they did the first gel, and I was pacing the room, I was bouncing on the ball, I was walking out, they let me go out for a walk, and I just didn't stop moving. They thought I was crazy. And then it didn't do anything, the first one. So you have to wait 6 hours, and they did another one.
Right.
Nothing. I was contracting, but no dilation. They couldn't even get half a centimetre. I was like, oh my God, what the hell? And then that was towards the evening.
And that's really hard as well, because your body, because you have that feeling of it's not working, it's almost, you can
tighten up again.
Yeah.
And they were like, look, go to sleep, but if there's nothing kind of happening overnight, we may have to do a C-section, or you're going to have to wait, because they can't keep doing these gels. And then I remember thinking, which is, it probably is a coincidence, but I remember thinking, I wish my mum would help me with this, because I thought she would just, guide me through this. And I was a bit annoyed. I was a bit angry. And I said to Lewis, I was like, come on, let's go on one more walk. And I did this huge walk, curve walking, and I could feel I could feel him coming down.
Really?
And then I got back and they gave me a pethidine injection, because I was in a bit of pain because I was contracting but obviously not dilating. Went to sleep, and within an hour my waters popped. And I was like, oh my God, it's happening. And 5 hours later he was here. It was so quick, because I feel like I'd done that kind of work to bring him down. So when the waters went, that was it. And he came, and he was a bit floppy when he came out, because I think because of that pethidine injection, they say that can go through to the baby.
Right.
So it was a bit scary when he came out.
Well, he wasn't breathing when he first came out.
He was breathing, but he wasn't crying.
Right.
So they knew he was breathing, but like he was just like really not with it, floppy. And oh, it's awful, isn't it? Like if anything like that happens. So yeah, I got a quick. They put him on my chest quickly, then they quickly took him off and tried to sort him out. And people were running in, and it was scary, but it was quick. He came round quick, so. Thank God.
How did it feel to suddenly have this baby, your baby, in the room with you?
It was just the most amazing feeling, overwhelming. I mean, for me, they told me that he was a big baby.
Right.
So I was having growth scans at the end, because they were saying...
And Lewis is a big guy.
Yeah, and they were saying he was big, so I was kind of preparing for this big baby. And then they put me on him. He was the tiniest thing. I thought they'd given me like the wrong baby. He was tiny. He was only £6'8".
Oh.
So, yeah, just for anyone out there that's getting... Because they do scare you, don't they, sometimes, with these growth scans. They're not always accurate.
No, they're not.
So they told me it was going to be like £8 plus. But I think I just had a lot of water and stuff.
What did your birth plan look like?
I didn't have a birth plan.
You didn't?
No, because I knew how quickly things could change, and I didn't want to go in there with a plan.
Yeah.
My only plan was I wanted the epidural.
Okay.
I was like, I just want to be numbed. I don't really... I applaud the women that can do it, and I wish I could, but I knew I didn't want to get to the point of like agony.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just thought, that's on offer, why not do it? And it was the best decision, because I think that's why I enjoyed it so much.
Well, you have loved both of your births.
Yeah.
You've said that they're a really positive experience.
Yeah, I was very lucky that they are.
Yeah.
With Flossie it was even better, because I didn't get induced, so it kind of, I didn't get induced, but they broke my waters.
Right.
So I was already 2 centimetres, and I had a bit of an issue with my liver, and they don't really want you to go past 40 weeks, so I was 39 plus 5.
Right.
And they were bringing me in weekly for my bloods to monitor things, and they were like, we've checked you and you are 2 centimetres, we can probably get in and break your waters if you want to just come in tomorrow. And get the baby out, just to be on the safe side. So I was like, great, I'll do that. And it was a much easier experience than the induction, because once you're already kind of dilated, they just got in there, popped my waters, and 8 hours later she was born. I loved it. I don't know why, I just love the whole thing.
Really?
Yeah. It is such a special thing though, isn't it? Like, I don't know, just pushing a baby out and then they put the baby on you. It's just, I loved it.
How did that moment feel when Lucky arrived with you and Lewis? Because I think it's such a unique thing as a couple to go through, and it's such a personal, beautiful thing.
Yeah, I think it strengthens your relationship so much, because you see such a vulnerable side to your partner. Obviously I'd seen a vulnerable side before, but seeing him hold like his baby, his son, it was an amazing thing to see.
Yeah. And you found out with both of them as well what you were having. Yeah,
I can't, I'm impatient. But we have said if we have a third, we're going to have a surprise, because we've got one of each.
Yeah.
So really, it wouldn't matter to us what we're having.
So we didn't find out with any of ours, but when I was pregnant with the third, I was a bit like, do we want to know?
Yeah.
Do we? Do we?
Yeah.
But we didn't.
Oh, so you were all surprised.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the idea of it.
Yeah.
And hopefully, if I'm lucky enough to have a third, I'll get that experience as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fun moment when they're out, and it's like,
yeah.
Oh.
Do the midwives shout it out, or
no?
do they give you that choice?
I guess it's a choice. So Tom, I think it was one of those things of, what is it, Dad?
Yeah. That would be nice. I'd like that if Lewis could tell me what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. How was your recovery?
So, without going into too much detail, I did have a little cut both times, and that's probably the hardest part of the recovery, you know, just being a bit sore. But
did you tear or cut?
First one was a cut and second was a tear.
Which did you find easiest to recover from?
I think the second one, the tear. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I'd done it before and I kind of knew what to do. The best thing that I did with Flossie for that, the doctors told me not to have a bath at all.
Right.
And I was thinking, oh, that's a shame, because, you know, after birth you just want a nice bath, don't you?
Feel clean.
And then the health visitor came and she said, get in the bath, put a bit of milk and a bit of lavender in the bath and soak in it. And I was like, oh, they told me not to have a bath. And she was like, no, honestly, they do, but just do it. I recovered so quick after that.
I can remember second time round
remedies.
finding something brilliant like that.
Yeah.
And then third time round going, what was it? What was it?
I
can't
couldn't remember
it.
Yeah, but even now I'm telling that story, I'm thinking, how much milk was it? I can't remember.
How deep was the bath?
Yeah. But yeah, something along that
But there
line.
is things like that. You know, I was obsessed with the Expert Midwife Spritz for Bits.
Oh, yeah, that's so good.
I've bought it for other people when they've
It's the best.
given birth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just something to make you feel
Yeah.
calmer.
Yeah.
More soothed.
A bit more
down there.
sorted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it is a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think the hardest bit post for me is the emotions.
Yeah.
Is the anxiety. Like, I remember with Flossie, it for me, I'm lucky because it only lasts about a week and then it all starts to ease. But even that week feels so overwhelming. And like, I remember thinking with Flossie, this would put me off having another baby because it's just like consuming.
Well, you say in the book that with Lucky you cried for 5 days straight.
Yeah.
What was it like with Flossie?
Similar.
Yeah.
It was a bit better, and Lewis said that I've been better with Flossie, but it felt, do you know what it is? It's just so overwhelming. And I feel the worst part for me is it's just like a fear of something going wrong and something happening to them, and you're so protective over this little life, and there's so much coming into your head that could go wrong. And it's silly. It's obviously the hormones that don't help, and I think that hormone drop's so hard for your body to kind of cope with. My mind just goes to these weird places. Like, I started to imagine Flossie as an old lady, and it would just make me cry. And he's like, why are you worrying about that, babe? And I'm like, I don't know, one day she's going to be old and I won't be here. And like, I don't know if you experience anything like that.
Yeah. I had a moment, I think it was the same day that my milk came in.
Yeah.
First time round. And I was, in my head, I was a fetus.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is everyone just leaving me here? What's going on?
Your mind just goes to these crazy places.
Yeah.
And I just, like, silly things. Like, I was starting to think, like, oh, one day, like, someone might be mean to them at school. And I think it's just the thought of them, anything bad happening to them at all.
Yeah.
It's just so overwhelming because you're just so in love with that baby.
Yeah. And I imagine with everything that you've been through in the years leading up to Lucky's arrival.
I think that made it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're so much more aware of things that can go wrong and how quickly things can go wrong.
Yeah.
And I think with what happened to me, the worst case scenario happened. And I think that's what you constantly tell yourself, that won't happen. And that's what kind of helps your anxiety, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, what's the worst case scenario? This is going to happen. And
That won't happen.
That won't
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
And you deal with it. But for me, that had happened twice, you know, and so I think that's why it was so much harder for me to deal with those thoughts that were coming in about something going wrong. Because I was thinking, that could happen, that has happened, it's going to happen again. Yeah, I couldn't even sleep with the light off at night when I first had him because I needed to see them. I thought someone's going to take him and I won't see, or if you know, if they're choking or something I won't see. Like, it's really hard to settle into that feeling, isn't it? Like those new emotions and the new worry that comes with having a baby. But I am lucky because it did pass. Like 2 or 3 weeks in, I felt like a different person.
Really?
With both, yeah.
And even second time round, was there, because of how you felt first time round, did you put things in place, or were you just a bit like, it won't happen again?
I didn't think it would happen again, naively. And I thought, I've dealt with it once, I'll be all right. It was a week and that was it. But I remember with Flossie, every day that passed, I remember saying to Lewis, do you reckon tomorrow I'll get through the day without crying? Like, I just didn't want to go there, I wanted to just feel better. And I guess you put pressure on yourself to feel. He was like, babe, you've just given birth, like, it's okay. You're not going to feel 100% yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't think it would happen again, but it did. But it, in the grand scheme of things, it's not long. I'm lucky because I know a lot of women aren't as lucky, and for so many that can carry on, and I'm just pleased and blessed that only lasted me a short space of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk breastfeeding, because you breastfed with both.
Yes.
How was that?
So I've always wanted to breastfeed. I guess it goes hand in hand with this fascination I've always had for, birth and pregnancy. And it just seems so natural, doesn't it? Like, I always thought, I didn't even realise that you could potentially have an issue with breastfeeding. I didn't know. Yeah. So when Lucky came, even when I was getting asked, did he latch? Has he latched? I was thinking, I was confused by the question, because I was like, I thought they just do. Yeah. So then when he didn't, I was heartbroken. No. I was so upset, and I think that didn't help with all the emotion stuff. He just wouldn't latch. And
it's also a very big thing when you're in hospital, and you've got so many women who are incredible trying to help you, but it's that thing, it's very exposing, just having a different woman come in and grabbing your boob and sticking the baby on,
squeeze it, get the nipple in,
and how you have to hold a baby's head in that first bit, and nothing about it.
You're weak, and you're it was so hard, and I was so upset. And then someone suggested the nipple shields, and that saved my breastfeeding journey.
Exactly the same.
But it didn't. I never got him to latch on the nipple.
Really?
And I wish I'd got more support. I think I should have, got like a lactation nurse, consultant. But I don't know. I feel like I was just lost with it all. And I used the shields, and he was happy with them. And so I ended up doing 7 weeks with the shields. Yeah. And then I think the reason why I couldn't carry on is because I found it really difficult in public. Because putting the
shields on and taking them off, it is really, really hard.
You have to stick them, and when you're breastfeeding in public, you just want to kind of pop them on discreetly, don't you?
Yeah. But they require a certain amount of suction, don't they?
Yeah.
Even them, so you have to. You've
got to fully get your boob out, get that stuff on in the right place, make sure the milk's flowing into that. I was thinking, oh my god. For both, I felt like they were cut short quicker than I would have liked. But
was Flossie the same?
So I did her for 6 weeks. She latched, but she had such a painful latch. I was crying through every feed.
Really?
Yeah, both nipples were bleeding and scabbed. It was crazy. And I think I had an oversupply because my boobs would just be so big and leaking at all times.
Really?
Yeah, I used to put the suction on the other one when I was feeding, and I used to get that much milk. Gosh. Just from the letdown, it was crazy. So I kind of got to 6 weeks, and I was like, we started introducing a bit of formula, and she was happy with that, and she started sleeping better, and it kind of just fizzled out.
How were you emotionally both times when you made that switch?
Oh my god, with Flossie, awful.
Really?
For a week I cried, and I
but that's so hard because you would have been in so much pain.
Yeah.
It's not,
it was the right decision for us to stop, because I wasn't happy. She also had bad reflux, and the breast milk was thin, and it was making her throw up loads. So when we put her on anti-reflux formula, she was keeping the formula down, and she was fuller and happier. And it felt like the right decision, but it didn't feel. I didn't feel like I was ready, and
almost like it's been robbed of you.
Yeah. And I still feel like that, to be honest. Yeah. And I said to Lewis, when I have a third, I want to make sure that I do it at a time when I can focus everything onto that baby, because I don't want to cut my breastfeeding journey short the next time, because it affected me so much mentally. Yeah. And I think obviously partly having Lucky played a part in it, because I felt so guilty that no one else could feed her while I played with him. Yeah. He's so attached to me. And every time she was on the boob, which is obviously relentless at the start, they just want to be on all the time. Having to say no to him when he wants me to play, when he wants me to get him a snack, when he just wants to chat, and I'm feeding Flossie, the guilt from that was really
Yeah.
affecting me mentally. And obviously getting back into work, I like to get back into work, and I had a lot of projects on, so I kind of, felt like it was cut short.
Yeah.
So next time I want to do like the full year, hopefully, full like year-long journey. And
But also know that you just have to be kind to yourself. Like, you know, what happens,
Yeah.
but also your nipples, that's such a, like, anyone who's ever attempted to breastfeed or has
hard.
breastfed, they know that feeling. They know, you know, even the burn of the all of that.
Yeah,
you know.
everything. Yeah, and you feel like you feel there's so much pressure, isn't there?
Yeah.
Being that sole person that's keeping the baby like fed and happy.
I went on a breastfeeding course before having my first. So I, in the same way that I read all the books, I was like, I know all the stuff, but actually the babies don't know all the stuff.
No.
You don't know how your bodies are going to work together.
No.
Like, I didn't know that milk comes out of multiple holes.
No.
You know, it's all
I
of
used to
that
sometimes
stuff.
it just
When it goes slightly wrong and it's all in their face,
Yeah.
like, no,
Yeah.
so sorry.
Yeah.
You know, and so you can kind of go, well, I'll just know more.
Yeah.
And, you know, but actually it's
Until
in
you
the
do
practice
it.
with that baby
Yeah.
that you get there. And
You don't
and
know how they're
sometimes
going to latch, do you?
Yeah, and sometimes it just simply doesn't work.
No. Yeah.
How has it felt going back to work each time?
I love working and I love what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very lucky because I can choose what I do, and it's really relaxed, and I do it from home. So I would never complain about that, and I have enjoyed going back to work each time. But like I say, with my third, I would probably like to be in a position where I've kind of
Taking that little
parked
step back.
the
Yeah.
projects, and because, you know, I'm so lucky to have these opportunities.
Yeah.
And obviously I want to create that life for my kids, and like, you know, I've built up a lifestyle, you know, from what I've done, and I want to continue that. So it is a juggle, but it's manageable. And I think the only thing I feel guilty sometimes about is Lucky going to nursery,
Yeah.
because where he does enjoy it when he's there, the drop off is he wants to be with us, and it makes me so sad. But with him being a toddler now, you cannot get anything done. With Flossie, I'm managing because she has good naps and stuff. But with Lucky, if he's home all day, he needs my attention. You know, I can't pop off and film a video or take a call or do a Zoom.
Is nursery a new thing for him, or has he been going for a while?
He's been going, but we've been building it up. So he started with 1 day and then 2. And then when we had Flossie, we increased him to 3. And he does love it. And he's come on loads since going. But he'll say in the morning, "Can I stay with Mummy and Daddy?" And I'm like, my heart just melts. But
It's really hard as well when you've had a traumatic drop off. To then go about
it
your
ruins
day.
your day, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And like, but he does love it. But it's just, you do get that guilt. But we make sure to like fill our weekends with like loads of fun.
Yeah.
So that he knows that he's started to now learn about weekends, because you don't think about this, do you? Like when they're younger, like he's now learning like weekends and what weekdays are, and you know, we're having it at the minute where when we put him to bed, it's because it's going dark. So in the winter, we're like, it's dark now, it's bedtime, and he's really like learnt that. And now when we're trying to put him to bed, he's like, no, Mummy, it's not dark outside. And I'm like, right, so in the summer it doesn't get dark till later, but it still means it's bedtime. He's like, yeah, but it's not nighttime. And I'm like, God, that's something that's shocked me. I didn't think about that either.
It's that thing, is very clever.
Yeah.
But please, can we just
Well
go to
done,
bed?
but no, it's not going to work. You're not staying up.
Has motherhood and having your own family felt like how you thought it would?
Yeah, it's exceeded my expectations.
Really?
Like it's changed my life in the best way. Like I feel like I was kind of just lost, you know, before, and trying to figure stuff out, and now I feel like that's exactly what I was meant to be doing, you know, being a mum, and I just love it so much.
Do you think your maternal role with your other siblings has sort of set you up for this new life?
Yeah, I think it has, definitely. I mean, when Mum had the little twins, I was only 16, and I remember seeing all their milestones and seeing what she did, and I've taken so much of that into, you know, being a mum myself.
Yeah. You've said that the hardest part of motherhood has been not having your own mum with you.
Yeah.
I mean, are there moments that just happen that you're just like...
Do you know what? It's the fact that she's never going to meet my children. That is literally the hardest thing to come to terms with, because she would love them so much. And like, yeah, it's hard because it creeps in all the time. I'm watching Lucky, I'm watching Flossie, and I just imagine a world where she was here, and it would just be so amazing. And yeah, it is such a sad thing that she's not. But like I always say, I find the positives and everything she taught me. That's why I am the mum I am to my kids now, and I feel like she is with us, just because she's not physically.
Absolutely. And have you found ways with Lucky and Flossie, or Lucky, Flossie's only a little brother, to talk about your mum?
Yeah, so I feel like I'm trying to now start introducing the idea a bit, because there's obviously pictures out, and I'll say, that's your nanny, but she's in heaven, she's not with us. And I'll say, that's my mummy, because obviously he understands that I'm his mummy. So I'm trying to explain to him that, I've got a mummy as well. And yeah, but I mean, he's still 2, so, it's hard to... He doesn't really grasp it yet, but just introducing the idea is nice, and it makes me feel nice that I know she would want to be a part of their lives even though she's not here. So even the thought of her watching me talk about her to them, I think she'd love that. Yeah.
And with your siblings as well, it's that thing of not only have you got your own family now, but seeing that family growing and expanding.
It's crazy. Like, Louie's got a little boy, I've got Lucky and Flossie, and Phoebe's has got Olive. And it's just the best. It's like we're recreating, what we grew up with all the kids. And it's so nice to be able to do it together.
Obviously, you're living down south now.
Yeah.
But is there a feeling of wanting to get the kids up there as much as possible so they experience what you experienced as a kid?
Yeah, all the time. And my sister Daisy, she actually lived in London for quite a while, and it was so nice to have her. But her boyfriend's a footballer, so he moved teams, and they've ended up being back up north, which is a shame. But I do go up there quite a lot, and it's so nice. I went up there last weekend, actually, and just all the kids together. And it'll just keep getting better and better as they get older.
The chaos. Yeah. The chaos that you thought that existed for the
it's still going.
Is now just going to
and
just
it will
grow
continue, because then our kids will have kids. And
yeah,
that's the best, though, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
We were saying... we don't know who's going to be next. We were like, right, who is going to be next to have a baby? Me, Phoebes, or Daisy? And we were like, right...
Who's your best
wonder.
son?
I think Phoebe will probably have another one at some point, probably before I have a third.
Really?
Yeah. I'd like to wait 3 years now, hopefully. Unless...
Who knows?
Yeah, you don't know.
Next year,
I think
twins.
it'd be nice to give them that time.
Yeah.
Because 2's full on, especially if you want to still work. So I want to give them that time and then hopefully have another.
Yeah. If you could write a letter on motherhood, who would it be to, and what would you say?
I think I would write a letter on motherhood to my kids and just tell them that being their mum's the best thing that ever happened to me, and it'll always be the most important thing to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does feel like it's settled you and given you, you even said about your body and everything, how it's changed in terms of how you feel about it.
Yeah.
It does feel like it's given you this grounding and acceptance.
Yeah, it has. And I just feel the most at ease that I've ever felt. And, when you just feel like you're where you're meant to be.
Yeah.
And it's a nice feeling, because when you've gone through a lot of loss and you've been through a lot of, struggles, you just want that calmness, don't you?
Absolutely.
And I feel like I found the joy in just simple things now, which is such a nice feeling. I was searching for this happiness in these big things, but that's not where it was. And just now having the happiness in the small little moments is the best.
Absolutely. I think Instagram and things like that also have a massive part of that.
Yeah.
That thing that we always feel like we have to be chasing.
Yeah, because people show the highlights, don't they? And I agree with that. It's like, oh, they're doing this big trip and they're doing this big thing and I need to be doing that. And you've got to try and ground yourself and realise that, your life is, what I'm trying to say, I don't know what I'm trying to say,
but there are joys that already exist in your life that you don't have to look at other people and go, I need that.
You just got to focus on your own little bubble and circle, and that's the most important thing.
Lottie, I'm going to get you growing vegetables and having chickens very
I
soon.
actually would love that. I'll need a bigger house and a bigger garden.
We end the podcast with you completing 3 sentences. The first one is being a mum means.
Being a mum means that I am my children's everything, which is the best feeling, and being able to teach them everything, you know, witness all their firsts, see the world through their eyes. It's just magical, and yeah, that's my favourite thing about being a mum.
Since having children, I
feel like I've got so much more purpose in my life, and I feel like I'm where I'm meant to be, and yeah, it's the best chaos.
And I'm happy when?
I'm happiest when I'm with my babies and my family.
Amazing. I mean, having listened to the book, I have been so excited about chatting to you.
Thank
the
you.
book it's called Lucky Girl, for anyone that forgot from the top. But the book's called Lucky Girl, and it's just a beautiful story of a brilliant family that encapsulates grief and all the things that come with that.
Yeah.
And it is full of hope and love, you know. And I could feel listening to you doing the audiobook that love has completely come from your mum.
Yeah.
And everything that you are channeling into your kids.
Yeah.
You know, it's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
So good luck with everything.
Thank you so much.